President Trump unveiling a fresh set of tariffs today, this time on the movie industry. He says he's soon going to meet with representatives from the American film industry to discuss his plan to apply new tariffs to foreign-made films. Let's bring in CNN senior White House correspondent Kristen Holmes, who is live for us outside the White House. Kristen, of course, back after having a baby, and we're thrilled to have you here in the arena for the first time. Kristen, thank you so much.
Thank you.
This is like another example, right, of the president continuing this push on tariffs, which he is, obviously very personally invested in, but it seems very unclear how this one would actually work.
Yeah, that's right. This is an industry that has a lot of ins and outs, and the way that this would work is really questionable because it's not as though you're just taxing one product that is made in one place. You're talking about a movie which, as we know, a lot of the different production houses are scattered across the world. I mean, they have different places that you film, they have different places that things are edited. So how you'd actually do this is really, there's a lot of questions. Now, this is what he said. He posted this on True Social. He said, the movie industry in America is a dying very fast death. Is dying a very fast death. Other countries are offering all sorts of incentives to draw our filmmakers and studios away from the United States. We want movies made in America again. Now, Kevin Liptak, our senior White House reporter, did learn that Donald Trump had dinner or met with actor Jon Voight over the weekend, who is one of his liaisons to Hollywood, a big Trump supporter. So that could have played into this at some factor. But we also heard Donald Trump kind of seeming like he might be walking this back a little bit when he was just asked a question about it. Take a listen.
Hollywood doesn't do very much of that business. They have the nice sign and everything's good, but they don't do very much. A lot of it's been taken to other countries, and a big proportion. And I'm actually going to meet with some because, there's some advantages, I guess, and I'm not looking to hurt the industry. I want to help the industry.
So you can hear there that clearly he had talked to somebody who said it might hurt the industry, because since he said that he didn't want to hurt the industry, that there could be some advantages. As we know, there are a lot of advantages to these various productions being filmed overseas, like tax incentives. So it'll be interesting to see where this actually goes.
Again, possibly making it a lot more expensive for American companies to make movies to then have, sell to American consumers. Kristen Holmes, thank you. Great to see you. Hope we'll see you again tomorrow.
Thank you.
All right, so with no end in sight for Trump's trade war with China, the president is doubling down on this cheerful Christmas in July message for Americans.
I'm just saying they don't need to have $30. They can have 3. They don't need to have 250 pencils. They can have 5.
All I'm saying is that a young lady, a 10-year-old girl, 9-year-old girl, a 15-year-old girl doesn't need $37. She can be very happy with 2 or 3 or 4 or 5.
I think he missed the memo that 15-year-old girls these days just want, what's the elephant skincare? I'm not cool enough to know what it is.
Drunk elephant.
Drunk elephant, thank you. You must have a daughter in this age range.
I do.
Okay, there you go. And not dolls. But Lulu, you and I were on this set at the end of last week, and we'll let these guys argue about whether or not this matters in a second, but one of our friends of the show was arguing this comment, was going to be lost in the noise. That may have been true if Trump had said it that one time, but he said it that time and then a second time. And I mean, the Wall Street Journal wrote it this way, quote, past presidents have urged voters to tighten their belts because of war, pestilence, natural calamity, economic contagion, or their predecessors' mistakes. Mr. Trump is the first to do so because of his own policy decisions and his stubborn insistence on sticking with them. In Mr. Trump's America, you get 2 dolls only. You pay more, and you be sure to thank the man in the handmade silk tie on the way out.
Well, enough said. I don't think I can top that. Yes, I felt this was going to be a big deal. Also because it would have been malpractice on the Democrats' side if they hadn't made it a big deal. So just that alone. Mm-hmm. But I will say this. The way that this is being portrayed is everyone's rich in America and they're going to have 30 dolls and you can just have 2 or 3. But the fact is that there are a lot of kids who aren't rich and a lot of families who aren't wealthy. And if dolls are more expensive, it might mean that they get no dolls. So it's not just this idea of like everyone is just crazy mad and buying as much as they can, which, by the way, America was built on. It's the capitalist system. But it's also this idea that there are a lot of people who can't afford things. And if things are more expensive, that means that maybe little Jimmy or little Susie might not get their dolls that they want. Because they're action figures, too. This is not just little girls. Little boys like dolls, too.
Oh, I have a lot of Spider-Man dolls.
Thank you.
Dolls in my house. Matt Gorman, I mean, this I mean, so I cut my teeth, as you know, covering Mitt Romney's presidential campaign, who famously once said that corporations are people, and that was very, did not go over very well. He had a number of other lines.
Flashbacks.
Mitt Romney was also there, helping run policy for that. And in those instances when he would say things like that, or any candidate that's not Trump, you all scrambled to correct it, right? And, he, I think, still believes the point that he was trying to make. But there was an understanding that politically this was not really the best thing to do. I never thought in my life I would hear a Republican politician making this argument, like telling little kids they had to have less because of something that you did from a strictly winning elections perspective.
Yeah, no, I hear you, and I was surprised. I was surprised to hear it again. I think on Sunday, I was surprised to hear it kind of as a repeat thing.
And then a third time on Air Force One, right?
Yeah, and I think one of the things, whether it's politicians I talk to or corporate leaders, you always want to emphasize the solution. You always want to emphasize the positive. And it helps if there is medicine to be taken or there's bad news somewhere in an answer or in a decision or in a circumstance, emphasizing the positive and emphasizing the solution helps to the listener and just people you're dealing with understand it. It puts a better spin on the conversation. So leading with the negative and leading with what you're not getting as opposed to what you are getting or what you could be getting, the benefits of this, I think is an interesting tactic and one that
Interesting tactic.
Look, it reflects the reality of the situation we could be in later this year. And the president's repeatedly said that, there may be less supply of some things, that we may see higher prices. And I think this is sort of the reflection of the reality of the policy he's carrying out. And I think it's because he's hearing from some of his advisors, look, this is probably going to happen if we continue down the path that we're continuing now. I don't think it's going to change how the president thinks about these issues, because if there's one consistency he's had in his career over many years, it's tariffs. He really believes in that point of view.
Well, and I mean, Adrian Elrod, you also a political strategist, and frankly, Democrats have occasionally said tariffs are a policy that could have positive results in certain cases.
On the circumstance.
Right. I've talked to Elizabeth Warren was here saying, yes, there are circumstances where this would work, et cetera. But again, it's one thing to say you can't have any dolls. He could be out there saying, well, you know what, this Christmas might be a little bit tough, but you know what I'm doing is going to give your dad, your mom, a better job in a couple of years.
You may not be able to buy the lawnmower this Christmas, but you can buy it maybe in 2 years from now at a very much lower price. I mean, that would probably be a better way to frame this. I mean, look, a couple of things. I think you made a really good point by saying that it would have been malpractice for Democrats not to take advantage of this. That's absolutely the case, and thank goodness that we have and we are and we're continuing to.
Wasn't a given. Sorry.
I know. I completely agree with you. Number one, but number two, look, this is just another anecdote that I think you'll hear more and more from as we get closer to the midterms. You'll see a lot of members of Congress, Democrats who are running either for re-election or as challengers who will use this in an ad, basically saying Donald Trump wants to take away X, Y, and Z from you, including your kids' dolls. Also, by the way, if only 12-year-old kids could vote, this might also help. Help us a little bit too.
It's such an evocative example.
It is. Only he can get away with it.
Even if you don't have kids, you were once a kid who celebrated some holiday where
will he get away with it? I guess that's the question.
We don't know yet.
Political gravity, right? It's always been the big question around Donald Trump, and this particular issue. This hasn't come up before, where you're actually telling the American people and their children you're not going to have enough.
He may not have to determine what the cost of it will be, but Republicans in the House and Senate will in the midterm elections next year if there is an impact on price or supply or some other economic constraint. And that's going to be the big question, right? How much of this actually ends up happening versus being able to pull back?
Mm-hmm.